Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, in case you ain't know so, and welcome back to another dope episode of Sports with SoSo. Coming to you live, y'all. This week, the Hurricanes men basketball team is still dancing as they get ready for the Sweet 16. The Heat go an impressive 3-1 in their last 4 games with 2 big matchups versus the state of New York. And Joel and I recap the weekend of sports. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go. Yo, we're back. Another episode in the building.
Back in person.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No StreamYard this week.
Nah, man. We make it happen when we're both in town, right?
I like it. It's it's a different dynamic. I like the StreamYard. It makes our life a little bit easier,
True.
But in person is always a pleasure, sir.
Absolutely,
Great
man.
to see you, kid.
Always good to see you, man. And for everybody tuning in, thank you for joining us for another episode. Make sure to head on over to our YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you have already, hit a like, drop a comment on our latest video. Joel, how was your weekend, man?
My weekend, a little mixed. It was a little mixed. I got towed over the weekend. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
True.
I golfed. That's something I regularly do. Yeah. Some golf this weekend. I watch golf. I watch a ton of sports.
True.
Shit, between the World Baseball Classic and hockey and basketball and March Madness in general and the brackets and UFC on Saturday. I mean, it's been a whirlwind of the last few days here.
Absolutely, especially since it's been a little minute since we recorded, right? We did that episode on a Sunday, and then Monday you ended up going to the Heat game, right? Which was surprisingly a home victory, but it was a lot of sports.
Yep.
There was UFC this weekend as well, like. F1 was happening this weekend. Like there was a lot to watch this whole entire sport.
I'm sure there was soccer too.
Oh yeah, man. Of course, it was a packed house at the sports at the SoSo household for sure. Packed with sports, man. But my favorite over the weekend, honestly, had to be our Hurricanes, dog. Had to be our Hurricanes, and we have to give them a big shout out this year because they were overlooked a lot to start the season, right? You had North Carolina ranked number 1 or in that top 20. Duke had a bunch of points in the season, were ranked in that top 25. Then you see Virginia get in there into the higher rankings than the Hurricanes. And meanwhile, the Hurricanes withstood all of that, right? Went about their business, had an amazing regular season, came up short in the ACC tournament, but I felt like they got good experience and good mental fortitude for the next mission that was coming up, which was March Madness. And thankfully, both of our brackets are still alive, right? Because we have them.
Somewhat. My dog Rob is running away with it right now. Shout out to Slob.
He's killing it.
His brackets are looking pretty good right now.
Pretty strong.
But yeah, we also, I think I have an okay bracket. I mean, we all have UM going, so
right. So we're still alive, and
that's a good thing.
In the biggest in the point of it as well, and. We see them get this matchup versus 12-seeded Drake, right? Drake, who had an impressive season on their own, right? And the Hurricanes did not come out firing like we expected them, bro.
This one was like a nail biter.
Too close.
From our perspective, like we should have just dogged these guys.
Yeah.
And they gave us a good run. Granted, they were a better team than I thought they were.
Yeah, for sure. Especially defensively. They held us to pretty much not scoring a field goal in the first half for about 8 minutes. 7 minutes, we were getting all of our points from the free throw line.
And our 2 main, scorers were off that night, man. You
True.
talk about Wong, you talk about Miller. They were struggling that night. They were struggling to find, to buy a basket.
Yeah, for sure. Both of those guys were 3 of 17 combined.
Terrible.
Which is terrible. Isaiah Wong won the ACC Player of the Year just that week.
Oh, he's a baller.
He's a certified baller.
We're gonna get to that, but that night, they struggled.
Them boys were off,
and
man.
that was what was making the difference for us.
And even Omir, when he came back, right? I felt like he was forcing it a little bit, right? Trying to prove that he was healthy and trying to do a little bit too much. And if it wasn't for Nigel Pack, dog, I don't know if the Canes would have pulled that game out because that boy came out in the second half firing on all cylinders, dog. Hit some big shots, had some great assists, and just pretty much controlled the game. And it's something that Coach L always says, right? If our guards get to create the tempo, set up the plays that they want to do, and create the flow of the game, then they can be whoever, because they're all great shooters and somebody's going to be on. And it happened to be Nigel Pack.
The difference right now, that we're seeing between us and these other teams in the tournament is speed.
Yeah.
You talk about the tempo, and when we can control that tempo at a high pace, it's hard for these other teams to be able to keep up with us.
No, they can't stop it, dog. They can't stop it. And look, in that Drake game,
transition's too crazy.
It's too crazy. And then when that's how we saw that I don't want to say the class, but like what separates the ACC basketball from the conference that these dudes are coming from, right? The Hurricanes were able to turn it up and finish the game in a 16-1 run. And that a lot of that came, at least 10 of those points came from fast break points where they got a steal, they got a block, they got a turnover, and just boom. Next thing you know, they got 3 guys attacking the basket. Hit a big 3, somebody takes it up for a dunk. It was an impressive comeback game for them, and it just showed the thing that we had talked about previously, how they were going to be able to show their mental fortitude, right, from having suffered bad losses in both the season, right, when we were at UNC, at Duke, close games against Virginia, all of that stuff.
The FSU game,
like all of that stuff. How were they going to be able to use those learning moments in times like this? And those boys showed up and showed out with what talent they have, man.
So far, they lived up to that,
Yeah.
And then they go, they bounce back. I mean, I don't know if you got anything else to cover on that Drake game.
Nah, I think that you got to give Drake their respect, right? Because they made it really tough.
They did.
Coach L said it. He was like, that was the best defensive team we faced all season, and they made us struggle, and we were not expecting that.
But then you come to the most recent game, the Saturday night game. Ooh. And bro, I mean, what a show that was! I
didn't need too many cups of Crown that night, dog, to celebrate that game.
What a game that was, bro!
It was just, like I had mentioned earlier, the guards were able to control the flow of the game, and Isaiah Wong came out and showed why he was the ACC player of the game. He took on that challenge. You know what I mean?
27 points.
Had 27 points that day, and the way that they beat Indiana, which was not a close game until the very end, right? Because not even with like about 8 to 10 minutes left in the second half, the Canes started to pull away, and you can see them running the break and getting easy buckets, which makes it harder for them to come down and, create some type of offense. Indiana struggled.
Well,
like that.
So Indiana is a historic program, right?
They are.
When you talk about college hoops, I mean, how many times they mentioned it on the broadcast? Miami's trying to make it back to the Sweet 16 for the 4th time, I think, in school history.
Right.
They're like, Indiana did that, 4 times in
a row
in 2 years. Like,
yeah.
I don't even know how they did it, but they did it. You know what I mean? Like, you talk about historic basketball program. So there's that storyline going into it. They're like the old school, we're like the new school.
And they were favored.
They got some good players, bro. They got that big ass kid.
Man, that Jackson kid.
Yes,
I know who you're
bro.
talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Dog, that guy had like 4 blocks straight.
Bro, that kid's gonna go pro.
He's definitely a pro.
But the Canes came out hot early on. Isaiah Wong doing his thing. We talked about the previous game. Wong and Miller were kind of cold. They start off the game doing well. Amir looking healthy. He's looking good. Well, when we lost him a few weeks ago,
that boy has 17 rebounds. Dog.
We're not really seeing the effects of that. That was the main concern going in. We were like, hey, if we don't got Amir, that can change everything for us. But
for sure,
he's looking good. 17 rebounds, as you just referenced. Wong doing his thing. 27 points on the night.
19 points from Miller.
They were doing their thing, but then they slipped up a little bit in that in that second period. Early in the second period, they closed the gap. They made it a 1-possession game, I think, at one point, or maybe a 5-point game or something like that.
They made it. They cut the lead down to 5.
But then again, we just started to separate, and then we took it back up to 10, then 7. They were kind of clawing. We hit a 3, they hit a big 3, and then I don't know, man. One of the biggest threes of the game, one of my favorite ones, was Isaiah Wong from deep, super deep, over that kid Jackson.
Yeah, just showing that he had the confidence, right, and the wherewithal mentally to be like, let me drag this out. He dribbled a couple of times, passed it, gave it back, got it back from Nigel Pack, and then brought him deeper into his lane where he's like, all right, now I know that his length can't bother me anymore, right? And he just showed what type of class player he is, dog. And
big time player.
He's a big time player, NBA ready player.
Yes, thank you for saying that.
You know what I mean?
That was all I kept thinking. I'm like, bro, this kid's gonna be amazing.
NBA ready.
In the NBA,
1,000%. And look, we talked about Amir and his, impact on the game. Man had 30 rebounds in 2 games, dog. 30 rebounds. That means that he's getting to the offensive glass. He had 8 in that game. Like, his motor cannot be matched. And nobody has a big guy. They may have size on us, but they don't have that same motor. They don't have that same, power in the paint that this kid is displaying, dog.
No, and the jaw, the chin that Omier has, because he took a nasty
elbow
from
Jackson, dog.
Yeah, dog. And he like kind of like, obviously he took a moment. He was like, yo, nobody's going to say nothing about that.
Nah,
and he was like, all right, back in the game. And he was just high tempo the whole time, man. So
And I really enjoyed how, Miller and Wong played off each other, right? It felt like when one sat down, the other one came up and it was like, my turn, boom, 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 let me do my thing. And they were able to control the game. Had a 40-35 lead at halftime, go out and win the game 85-69. Just shows you that they were able to separate. And once they started playing better defensively, forcing Indiana to take threes wasn't working out for them. They missed a bunch of threes. That one kid that hit a big 3 to cut it down to 5, he went on to miss his next 6 threes. You know what I mean? Ended up going 3 of 11 that night. A very impressive win for the program. A very impressive win for Coach O and his boys. It just shows that they deserved more respect, and they didn't get it nationally, right? Virginia got a lot of love. Duke got a lot of love. North Carolina got a lot of love. Nobody really talked about the Hurricanes like that. They kind of recognize the talent that's on the team, because that's hard to miss when they're winning awards and being named in all ACC teams. Like, it's hard to deny that, right? But they still didn't really pick the Hurricanes. They didn't think that the Hurricanes could beat a team like Indiana, who has an historic background. And they did, and they did it thoroughly. And now they got another matchup where they got to face the number 1 seed Houston, who was number 1 in the nation for a good portion of this season. 33-3, tall order for the Hurricanes.
This is the toughest task of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the giant, at the end of the journey that you got to slay.
Yeah.
And it sucks because then that's just like the first level of the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, but if you have the aspirations to be great, you're gonna have to go out there and beat teams like this.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, and really put your, I don't want to say balls, but like, you got to put your
nuts on the table.
The nuts on the table and say, hey, this is who I am. Exactly. We're going to come out here and get it done. I feel confident in this team. Because
what do you know about Houston?
Let's
get into that.
The only thing that I know about Houston is that they got a really good guard named Sasser. Kid's averaging about 17 points on the season. Really good on the floor as far as field shooting percentage. Shot 44% over the season. A kid that you're going to have to pay attention to, and you can't give him too much space. Like, this space between you and I is too much space for that guy, because he's going to knock down a 3 in your face. What I really am worried about is, do the Canes hype themselves up for this game too much? You know what I mean? Do they see them not as equals, but they're way better than us and we got to get them? No. I'd rather they come in and think, you know what? We are equal to this team and we can beat them. That's what I'm hoping to see.
Yeah, I think that has to be the mentality for that team going into this. I just hope that they don't think that I thought you were going to go a different route with that. I thought you were going to say you hope they don't go into it thinking that they're better than this Houston team, because you go into it, you got to have that mentality and that mindset. But if you underestimate this Houston team,
right,
who you just said was number 1 for a portion of the season, that could hit you in the face very, very quickly. So you got to make sure you go in there, give them the respect. This is a good team, but we're going to play UN basketball.
Correct.
And we talked about it already, bro. It's speed. Play that speed game. Quick buckets, quick baskets, draw the fouls, get to the line, control the game. And if you do that, I mean, I think we'll be able to see Elite 8.
For me, the X factor is being Omier. If Omier can dominate the paint like he did during this game against Jackson, because Jackson balled out. Again, 23 points, 10 of 11 from the free throw. He did his thing. 7 of 10 from the field. He did his thing, right? And Omier still balled out. If he can dominate that and withstand a game like that from a center, which their center doesn't have a chance of comparing next to Omier, the Hurricanes can play a little bit tighter up front, guard the three-point line a little bit more, make guys want to go around them because they know that Omier is going to be able to step up or at least get the rebound after the miss. Hurricanes do have a chance. I'm looking at the prediction and it's like 90% to 10%. In my opinion, I feel like that's, again, a disrespect.
It's good money, though.
It's good money, great money.
Good money. Put your money on those odds.
1,000%. And again, like, just shows the disrespect that the Hurricanes are getting because we were the best team defensively in the ACC. And we have the best defensive player from the ACC. And on top of that, we're the only team left from the ACC. So how this team is not getting the respect, at least from a betting standpoint, is just odd to me. You know what I mean? I get it. 33-3. That's odds. Amazing, dog. Yeah. Doesn't mean shit. Doesn't mean shit, man. I got the Hurricanes winning this game and going all the way, baby.
I mean, I got them. If you look at my bracket, and shout out to everybody that jumped in the bracket.
Yes, sir.
We got a nice little group there. I got UM going the whole way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I think that they'll be able to handle this task as long as they listen to Coach L. That's the main ingredient. I think in order for this game, I think you said it, Amir needs to have a big game. Just what does he need to do to have a big game? Do what he's been doing all season.
Yep.
Do exactly what you've been doing, big man.
Don't change nothing.
Bring that energy you bring every night. Stay aggressive on the offensive glass. Get us second chances.
Yep.
And then Wong, we just gave you high praise, man. You're NBA ready. You're going to be a big time player. You need to put up 30 points in this game. You just did it. You had 27, sub 30, but in order for us to win this, I think that's where it comes down. We need Wong to have 30 points.
He can do it.
Set that pace. Really push that tempo for us. Get us baskets. Get to the line. Get them in foul trouble. Get a couple of other guys out early, and we'll be able to take this down.
Yeah, man. I think he can do it. I think this is the stage that you want to do it if you think you are NBA ready, because you're instantly putting yourself on that first round draft status. You know what I mean? So if they can do that, dog, and if he can do that specifically, and Miller too, you know what I mean? Play his role and be that second scorer, that 1B scorer, because that's exactly what he's been this whole season. He's had big games for the Hurricanes. We'll be in good shape, dog. We'll be in good shape, man. Friday, 7:15 on CBS, prime time. Coach L, I got the utmost faith in you and your coaching skills, man. And I think the Hurricanes are going to, really let their nuts hang. It's going to happen, dog. It's going to happen.
On the table.
Bam.
Bang.
4 aces, bastards. That's what I got.
Read them and weep.
Read them and weep. Man, and like I said earlier, it's been a while since we've talked, right? Last time we talked, the Heat weren't looking in the best of shape, had that ugly loss to Orlando, right, where they get smoked. They didn't really give themselves a chance to win that game. And then they go off and win 3 out of the next 4 games. And even the game that they lost was kind of disappointing against Chicago. But, they're still stuck in that 7th seed in the East, 1 game behind Brooklyn, which they happen to be facing later on this week after a game at home versus the Knicks. Yeah.
Well, we started that week, I've since last episode with that Utah game, which I got the chance to go to. I took my godson to that game. One. No, it was Jazz. We beat Utah. I'm pretty sure that was the game that I went to, was last Monday. With Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
He plays for Utah, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure he's on Utah, right?
Yeah.
That's the game that I went to because he's disgusting. That kid, bro, we could not stop that guy, which is a problem because it's like we're gonna face guys like him, if not even better, on the offense. That it's like, how do we stop those guys from scoring? Because he was having his way, but it was that the rest of the team around him got kind of cold. There was another guy that they have that also was wet from 3 that night, which is his career game. He had his career game against us that night, but
that tends to happen a lot against the Heat, dog.
Luckily, we were able to, hold down the win. We had a lot of good performances from people across the board. It was a real big team effort. Bam did his thing. Jimmy, we needed Jimmy to have a big fourth quarter, which he was really big down the stretch for us. Game. It was kind of like the typical Heat ball that we've seen the last 4 years or so. That how we get wins. It comes down to the end, the nitty gritty, and then put it on Jimmy's back and hope that everything else goes, I
mean, it's a formula that has proven to work, right? It's not the prettiest, and it doesn't necessarily make Heat fans feel great, right? But it is a results-based business, and it gets results.
It's
right?
nice when it works, bro.
It's nice when it works.
When Jimmy, does his thing, it's like, bro,
it's nice when it works.
That's the guy.
And it's crazy because, like, you beat Utah 119 to 115, but you need to come back in that game. You have 7 players in double figures. Like, you're able to really win a close game, which happens to be their 24th win this season, right? With 5 points or less. Just shows you that the Heat don't make it comfortable. And nope. Sometimes they struggle to win games, right? Games that they're leading in or games that they're behind in, and then they find a way to grind it out, like you said. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it is productive, right? And it's definitely not an appealing form of basketball, especially, you just got to watch Heat basketball. And if you watch this game, it's very frustrating. Second quarter, you want to kick everybody on the team off, right? And third quarter, they come out, guns are blazing, everybody's making shots, and you're like, okay, we got a chance. And then fourth quarter, holy shit, we're coming into grind mode. But like you said, the Heat find ways to grind out victories like that. And against a West Coast team like Utah, who's balling, right, and definitely a contender in the West, it's a very impressive victory. And you got to get those when you're at home. If you're going to beat a team like Utah, you're probably not going to beat them on the road, right? You're more than likely to try to get that dub here, and they did.
Needed it. The next night or the next game in that, a little bit different story. It wasn't so much of a grind. That's the game that we yearn for. You know what I mean? As Heat fans, we want to see them have a dominant performance, and we go out and we beat Memphis 138-119.
No, everybody was on fire. Go out there and shoot 60% from the field goal as a team.
Why can't they be like that?
Season high? Yeah, that's a season high, and I get it. Shooting 60% is crazy, right?
Crazy, son. Where's that been?
But it not necessarily as a team, but just the guys who were scoring, right, and how easy they made it look, and the fact that they were able to get shots off that they normally get and actually make them. A guy like Bam, 10 of 15 from the field, ends up with 26 points. Jimmy, 6 of 11, 11 free throws for 23 points. Everybody just knew, like, all right, let's get into our spots and let's make our shots. Get into our spots, make our shots. And everybody did that. We also actually shot decent from 3, 13 of 29, 44%. We needed a game like that because lately we've been struggling, especially Hero. Hero's been struggling from the 3-point line. Ended up going 2 of 6, struggled this game, but he saw a couple of them go in. Gabe Vincent, the rare 10-point game from Gabe Vincent as far as offense goes, because he's more of a defensive player anyways. Still better than Lowry, right? Just the time of the shots being hit and the fact that we were able to D them up and really keep them at bay, that showed us why we can win games like that. But the problem is we don't shoot every night like that, dog.
Nope.
It's hard to get this team to shoot 45% as a team. You know what I mean? So even saying like we can get to 47, which is really high, 48, really high. I just think that would have made a big difference throughout the season if we would have been able to shoot like that. It just sucks to see it. It's for one game.
Yeah, exactly, because of the fact that it's like we know what we're capable of if we're firing, and we have not been on that level. I mean, to not have it on a couple nights, but like have it more often than not, that's one thing. But like we have the opposite of that. It's not good, great shooting night in and night out, and then we saw this where it all came together, and it's like, wow, that's what it could look like.
Holy shit! Did you see his Heat team real quick?
So that was nice. Back-to-back dubs. Always lovely. We love to have piece of mañana for a couple days.
Needed.
But then, turn around and lose to Chicago, so.
Yeah, man. A rare back-to-back win, right? It was only the 6th time this season that the Heat have won back-to-back games. Just shows you a lot of how hard we've struggled to win games and even be consistent, right?
You know how many times we've won 3 in a row this season?
How many times, brother? 0.
It's a big goose egg.
And look, we had a legit chance against Chicago. Granted, we're on the road. And we know that we suck on the road this year, but you get a good game from Jimmy, you get a good game from Bam, and nobody else contributes, Nobody else contributes. Tyler Hero, 3 of 8 from the 3-point line, 15 points. Strus actually came out there and balled. He was 5 of 3 from 13, right? But it wasn't enough because nobody else had more than 6 points. Just those 4 guys were in double figures.
Wait, give me Max Strus's stats again, because I was trying to comprehend that and I didn't get it.
He was 7 of 15 from the field and 5 of 13 from 3-point line.
Oh, wow. How many points total?
20.
Nice.
And made one free throw.
We haven't seen that from Strus this year, man.
Yeah, which is weird because, again,
so weird.
It's a guy that I'm not saying he's going to go out there and shoot like that every single night, but damn, dog, you can hit more shots than you can miss. You know what I mean? You're definitely that good, especially that you're not seeing that many opportunities. But he took it upon himself to feel the rhythm, right, and say, yeah, I got a vibe going right now. None of these guys are making shots. I might as well keep shooting, and he did. And, Duncan's been back in the lineup. Lowry's been back in the lineup.
Off the bench. And I think
none of those guys are providing anything, is my point.
I think he's doing better off the bench. At least for me, I'm happier seeing him come off the bench than taking up starter minutes.
Nah, no doubt. And I put that poll on the Instagram story, and resounding people felt that Gabe Vincent should be starting over Kyle Lowry. And it makes a ton of sense. A ton of sense because... again, the production that you're getting from Gabe Vincent, a guy that you forget about the money, just the production that you're getting from him on the floor, the fact that he's young, the fact that he can play games, play minutes, and not have that wear and tear on his body is going to put him at a clear advantage over Kyle Lowry. And then now if you compare their games, right, and the level of production that they're both giving, and you look at it side by side, regardless of the stories of side, Gabe's been hurt, Lowry hurt, whatever. If you just look at the production that they've been given, whenever you have Gabe Vincent starting more or playing more minutes than Kyle Lowry, the team is better. That just is what it is. The chemistry on the court between him, Bam, Jimmy, it's better.
It's an absolute 100%.
Just better.
Facts.
So, yeah, Kyle Lowry's got no choice but to come off the bench.
Yeah.
And credit to Spo for sticking to his guns and not backing down to like the contract or the fact that he may be upset about coming off the bench. You're going to have to learn that for the rest of this season, you're definitely a bench player.
Until we figure out what to do with you.
No, you're just, bro, there's 9 games left in the season. You know what I mean? And they're going to have to figure out a way to really hone down on getting wins. Because all that other bullshit is for the birds, like the Lowry situation, Jimmy not being happy, Bam Hero struggling, Bam balling out. Like all of our other side stories with the Heat is like a wrap. There's 9 games left, and we need to get into 6th place. And we find ourselves with a big opportunity against the Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets in order to help us get to that goal. Now, thankfully, we're coming off a victory because we were able to beat the worst team in the East, which are the Detroit Pistons. They only got 16 wins this season. And you go out there and you smash them, and you end up winning 112 to 100. A very impressive win for the Heat because, again, they're just able to show that, yeah, we're much better than this team, and if we stick to our game, we could go out there and get a dub. Strong fourth quarter performance from Hero. 10 of his 19 points came in the fourth quarter, showing that he's really good when it comes to clutch moments. I saw a stat from him earlier. If you give me a second, I'll find it for you. But I saw a stat from him earlier that Delphin sent that stated that, in crunch time moments, this dude is, in the top 5 percentage-wise, top 3 as far as field goal percentage made, and crunch moments are anything within 5 minutes and a close score, right?
Yep. I think Coach Spo said he has the clutch gene, or was the quote that Tyler Hero has the clutch gene.
All right, I got the numbers. Tyler Hero's numbers in clutch situations this year has made an NBA high 19 threes on 38.8%, shooting from deep, NBA plus best plus or minus 87, so he's killing it that way, and shooting 37 of 80, 46% from the field. So when it's game time,
he brings it.
He brings it. You know what I mean? Now, that's why I still think that he's going to be better in the playoffs this year than we've ever seen him, right? And the bar's not that high from his performances, right, in the playoffs. So he's going to definitely have a chance to step his game up. Now, these next 2 games against Brooklyn and against New York, these are must-win games, especially the game against New York because we're only 1 game behind them. We're 3 games behind them for the 5th spot, 1 game behind Brooklyn. So if we get that victory on the Knicks, we put ourselves in a really good position, making that 2 wins, trying to get our first 3-game winning streak of the season against Brooklyn. Do I see it happening? Tough.
Right now, we need it more than ever.
Yeah, for sure.
If you look at the last, you said we have 9 games left. We look at 10-game sample, playing the worst team in the league. That was an automatic win, but it's like that was the freebie.
Right.
Out of 10 games, how many do you say that he need to win in order to, either I wouldn't say maintain, because it's in order to maintain, we got to stay 500, right?
True.
So you go 5-5, but it's like, realistically, where do you want the Heat to be, in these last 10 games of the season, as far as performance wise for, the playoff seeding and all that stuff? And I think that the answer is just 500 for me, at least.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter who we play in the playoffs. All these teams, we give them respect, bro. There's a lot of good teams that are in the playoff mix ahead of us.
Right.
Rightfully so. They're beating really good teams night in and night out, handing it to them, winning at home when they need to, winning on the road when they need to, things like that. Things that we've seen all season we've struggled with. So for me, at least, it's like, all right, I just want to go 500. I don't want to go backwards. Yeah. I don't want to lose seeding.
Yeah, but
I'd rather just stay 500, kind of keep the pace, compete with the guys we need to. Maybe one of the 500 games we win is against a good team like the Knicks, somebody that we have, an interest with as far as seeding goes. But I really just want to make sure that we take these next 9-10 games to really get comfortable with this core of guys. Kevin Love is still new. We haven't really talked about him. Cody Zeller, Oladipo, where's he been at? We still got, some chemistry that we can build off of in these next 10 games. And that's really what I want to do going into the playoffs, because once the playoffs happen, we know everything else is out the door. It doesn't matter what your record was. It's what your team looks like at that point. How healthy are they? And, what's your game plan going forward?
Well, they have they're 6-3 in their last 9 games, right? So potentially they're definitely trending in the right direction, but we need to see the consistency in the big games, in the games that matter, right? And that's what these next 2 games are. Yeah, there's only 9 games in the season, but you have to focus on the players that are, or the teams that are right in front of you that you're going to be able to have the biggest impact on for the rest of your season. And trust me, being in that 5th seed is a big difference. Being in that 6th seed is a big difference than being in that 1-game playoff as a 7th seed. You know what I mean?
No, I get that. But I've also seen this team this season, man.
I get it.
And we can, I don't want to throw this out there. I don't want to be the guy that put that out into the universe, but there's a chance that the Heat go 3-7 or, 3-6 in these next 9 games.
That always exists.
And it's like, now we went down to the 8th seed, or maybe we're in the play-in tournament now. And it's like,
yeah. No, I get it. I'm with you, dog. And look, these next 2 games at home are must-win games. They're must-win games, dog. If you're thinking about it think about it like if you are in that playoff tournament and you need to win these games in order to get into the playoffs, then go out there and beat the Knicks. Go out there and beat Brooklyn. They're not even like back-to-back games or nothing like that. The Heat don't play again until Wednesday. So they got the game against the Knicks on Wednesday and then another 2 days off, and then they play Brooklyn. So everybody should be a healthy go, right? Everybody should be ready, well-rested, and with enough practice, enough chemistry built, enough whatever you want to call it, but being in a position where you go out there and you get these next 2 home games. And no matter what, no excuses. If you got to grind it out, but get the win. Get the win. They got to do that. Because if not, the rest of the 9 games, dog, might as well just toss them into the win. They're guaranteed. They're not going to finish outside the top 10, so they're going to be in the play-in tournament no matter what. So, just work on the game at that point. Those wins wouldn't matter that much. Go out there, beat the 2 teams that are right in front of you. Have a big impact on the rest of your season. Put yourself in a winning position.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see it. Let's see it. You know what? I got to give a big shout out to we talked about college basketball, but we didn't shout out the UM women basketball team.
Killing it, too.
Killing it. Amazing to see that basketball program growing as a whole, right? And the women just staying super consistent in their bracket and their vision and quest. That's a team full of ballers for sure, man. That's a team full of ballers. And, shout out to them. And also to the FAU men's basketball team, dog. Making the Sweet 16, dog.
Who'd they knock out?
They knocked out FDU, right, this weekend, but they beat Memphis. Penny Hardaway's team.
Yeah, dog. They beat Memphis. Wow.
Dude, when they lost, he threw away the fucking water bottle. Went in over there and shook hands.
I'm sure, dog, but wow, shout out to FAU.
Shout out to FAU, man.
I never would have thought.
First Sweet 16 ever.
I mean, just in typical March Madness fashion, there's been a bunch of upsets,
Big time
First round upsets, and then, just now in the round of 32 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's been exciting, man. It's been definitely fun. How about World Baseball Classic, bro? Talk to me. Man. You've been watching it?
People's
got knocked out early on by PR.
Dog. They didn't even make the playoffs, dog.
Wild.
And you know what's crazier is that Venezuela was able to dominate all of the teams in that division. I think they were 3-0, 4-0 at one point. impressive, full of ballers, coached by Yadier Molina. No, was it? No, it wasn't him. But Yadier Molina was coaching the Puerto Rican team. Just cool to see that team go out there and beat Puerto Rico, right? Seems that they normally would have been like the underdogs against. Just shows how much baseball is exploding and how much talent has made it to the MLB level that they're like, yeah, I'm a baller in the MLB. I'm going to go play for my country real quick and get ready for the season that way.
Yeah, but then it's crazy how it happens because then you got, PR knocks out DR in the famous PR-DR battle.
Yep.
And they do it easily, too. And it's like, wow, bro. Like, they have a couple guys, but they don't got anybody crazy. Then you get in when Diaz gets injured.
No, they do. It's that you got to look at the lineup and be like, holy shit, yeah, they are studied.
Compared to DR, though, DR on paper has the monsters. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
These PR had a couple minor leaguers and stuff, you know what I mean? So
no, it had a bunch. Yeah, they did. They did.
So, my whole thing is, and then Edwin Diaz gets injured. They're celebrating like they won the whole thing. Now he's out for 6 to 8 months, and these guys are upset. Then PR comes out against Mexico and loses. Has the lead up 4-1, end up losing like 5-4.
Blows it.
Crazy.
Crazy. And then, again, it just shows you that there is baseball talent everywhere. And if in a tournament like this, all you need to do is have one good game, one big moment, and that'll change the swing of the game completely. And now all of a sudden you have momentum. Everybody's getting on base and nobody can hit your pitchers. I mean, we saw it with the USA team, right? They struggled, right, to get out of the group, and then boom, catch fire, beat everybody, and then they went from a team that were lacking star power, quote unquote, to putting up 9 runs every single game. It felt like went out there and destroyed Cuba, right? Where you're thinking, all right, Cuba's definitely on par with talent with these guys, 14-2, and I was like, God damn.
Nah, I don't think we thought Cuba was on par. I thought, it was nice to see Cuba for the whole storyline and all that, playing in Miami.
Bro, they have some stud pitchers.
They got some good players, but I mean, USA, man, you talk about another team that's stacked, it's there, man. Trey Turner is a beast.
Mookie Betts
on the leadoff. Every time that guy's
Mike
on
Trout.
base, Papa,
looking like a creative player, barely holding on to the bat.
Dog, it's crazy the team that Team USA has, bro.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's USA all the way.
For sure.
Japan is definitely a force to reckon with. They're looking scary. They're looking scary. So it's probably gonna. Is it gonna be Japan US in the finals?
I think so. I think so. I don't think that Mexico's Cinderella story gets that far. I just think that Japan's pitching is nasty.
Yeah, bro.
Nasty. Nasty, and I don't think that. I think their pitching is probably the best in the world right now, And they have that Otani kid who's playing both ways. He can pitch, he can hit,
bro.
He can steal, he sells hot dogs. Like
an anomaly, bro.
He's an alien, dog. He's an alien.
He sells dope, does taxes, and braids hair.
Everything.
All in the same dugout.
Cops don't know when to bust in, man. Yeah, that's why I feel like Japan's team is like definitely star-studded. Everybody shows up for that one. All the big dogs show up from their nation, so... Yeah, man, it's been a fun tournament. I love whenever it comes around. Obviously, the vibe in Marlins Park was amazing during all of those games. The Nicaragua game versus Venezuela, it was like everybody eating, comparing food. No, my food's this, try this, drinking beer. It was just a dope scene to see, right? Seeing that stadium packed like that, full of that vibes, full of that energy. And everybody going out there to represent no matter what, just win or loss, just get a chance to go out there and represent. It was a dope event, man.
It's nice to see how packed the stadium can get.
Yeah, it's a little stadium when you think about it.
We're never gonna see that for a Marlins game.
Well, we would, Joel. There's no doubt in my mind we would, dog. If it was with the lineup that like the Yankees have or the Astros have. Right? Or the Dodgers or the Angels or or the Houston, any of these teams that have star-studded players throughout the lineup that are making all-star games, having 30-run home run seasons, those are guys that become names. And then the team becomes popular. People want to go out there and see them because they're winning games. Right now, who's our stud? Who's our star?
Jazz.
A guy made the cover of MLB The Show. Talk to me. Of course he's our best player, but who's behind him?
Sandy.
Right. He won a Cy Young. Is he going to win another one this year?
Hopefully.
I love him. I love him a lot, dog.
But those are the two guys. But outside of that, it's
drop-off is nasty.
Exactly.
Nasty. right? So, and especially for Sandy, because we're only seeing him once every 5-6 days, right? He's a pitcher. He's not going to pitch every 3 games.
Right.
Jazz is on the field every day. He's getting 4 at-bats at the very least. So we're seeing this dude a lot, right? And he's in a prime position. He went from playing second base, which he dominated at, and now he's going to be playing center field. So, yeah, if this team was full of studs, which they signed a couple of guys, right? They got the Segura kid that we talked about. It needs to turn into something. It needs to turn into wins in order for that stadium to ever have that vibe.
For sure. But even still, man, I feel like,
You don't think that if the Marlins made the playoffs, that stadium will sell out?
Bro, the thing is that, like, we're not a sports town, bro. Like,
we're an event town. That's an event.
We're a party town.
That's a party.
We're a party town. And, our attention span is only, like, so big. And I feel like, if the Dolphins are hot and they're doing well, which we'll talk about in a second, and the Heat, which are historically always doing well for us in the last 20 seasons.
In the playoffs, always in the playoffs.
Now you're trying to introduce a soccer team into the mix, and then you got this Marlins team that's always struggled. It's like, how much do we really have time for as a sports town down here? I'm not saying for me. I'm all in. I'm watching Marlins even when they're struggling or keeping up with them at least. But the average casual fan, even if the Marlins do well, you think they're going to be like, oh shit, let's go to a game now.
No, of course, but absolutely. But that's the thing, right? Like, there's enough baseball fans down here. That's obvious that there's enough baseball fans here, right? And we have a good eclectic lineup of good backgrounds, right? South America, Caribbeans, Mexicans, like everywhere, Americans, like we got all of that. People from the Bahamas, Jazz is from the Bahamas. You know what I mean? It's a very big group that if they play well, people will come out to see them. You know what I mean? It happens with Inter Miami. They got off to a great start, and now that stadium's damn near packed every game. Right? Because, that guy's Colombian. He plays for the national team. I'm going to go watch him. Or this guy's a baller. He plays in the Honduras League. I'm going to go watch him. Oh, he's from Venezuela. He plays in that. He was the baller in that league. I'm going to go watch him. So now they have, again, a good eclectic team, right? With enough people who can draw people in, but the talent has to be there. Yeah. The wins have to be there.
Yeah, we got to win.
I feel like a playoff game, if the Marlins were in a playoff game and the game was at 7:30 on a Friday, that shit would be packed. It would be a sellout. Without a doubt. It would be a sellout. Because especially if they made it, it's not a wild card game. They're in the playoffs. They're hosting a playoff game, right? Or even a wild card game at the very worst. That place would get packed because people would buy tickets just to walk around and be like, yo, we're at the Marlins playoff game, a real playoff game. Right? The last time they made the playoffs was that short season because of COVID or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And that wasn't and even still, they got smoked. They backdoored into it.
Yeah, exactly.
They backdoored into it. So
we'll see, man. They got to win. We got to get to the World Baseball Classic, and then opening day is pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
We got Marlins baseball ramping up here, so that's going to be exciting. We'll have Marlins. We'll have the Heat. The Panthers are kind of coming around.
I didn't want to say anything. They're 6-1 since we stopped talking about them. Let's just shout them out. Shout out to the Panthers. We love you. We're watching.
So 6-1. That's the Panthers update, folks.
Keep it up. They're really close to making the wild card. They're still out of it, but they're really close.
We'll keep it at that.
Yeah, we don't want to jinx them.
Dolphins.
Yeah, they made some moves. We talked about it. I'm still waiting to see, and we're going to talk a little bit after the show about that. I'm still waiting to see how it all comes together. They've been making a lot of potentially good signings, and especially in areas that I thought that they needed help in, right? Mainly linebackers. They are also investing in the offensive line, so I'm interested to see how that works out. I'm just kind of looking forward to see like how the recent signings are going to be able to shape what they're trying to address in the draft. That's going to be up pretty soon. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I think that the Dolphins have made interesting moves. They've definitely improved the team, both on the coaching side and on the field, right? And I think that they're really positioning themselves in a position to be a real contender this year, dog. A real contender.
So if you guys been under a rock for the last week or two, we signed Jalen Ramsey.
Yes.
So now we have arguably, the best cornerbacks in the game, the best duo. But one of the things that I saw that came, this is a deep cut. The Jalen Ramsey move. Everybody's gonna see that high profile player, Dolphins. Anybody anybody's gonna see that. But as a true Dolphins fan that sat there last season and watched us win big games, and, saw a certain player make certain plays for us, might have not had a crazy stat line at the end of the season when it was all said and done. But you talk about big plays, man, that this kid made for us. It was time in and time out, third down plays. You know, he might have only had one catch the whole game, but it was one of the biggest third downs that set us up for a score or something. And I saw that we let him go.
Peace.
And he's over in San Francisco now, and I'm sad to see him go.
He's in New England, San Francisco.
Who are you referring to?
I thought you were talking about your boy Kaseki.
No.
Who?
Trent Sherfield.
Peace.
Damn, dog. You felt like that about Sherfield, man. I really like Sherfield, dog.
Peace. You know why? Because that rookie that we didn't play has been dying to get on the field. And guess what? He's a monster, dog.
Yeah?
He's a monster.
Talk to me.
He's a monster,
Tell me more about this rookie.
Easy,
sophomore
dog.
Now.
Bro, it's going to be hard for me to pronounce his name, but they call him Easy. He's about 6'7", a really big body, very agile, very athletic, can jump up, make big plays, kind of like a baby DK. They're really excited about him. And I'd rather him get the opportunity than a guy like Sherfield. Not to shit on Sherfield. I think he's very reliable. I think he's good, right? He's decent. But if it's about taking a roster spot, I'd rather give it to him. That young kid is a potential breakout. And if he does break out, that means that we'll have 3 top receivers. 3 top receivers, because obviously the Cheetah is one of them. We know that Jalen Waddle is definitely a top 10 NFL wide receiver, right? And if the rookie, well, he's not a rookie, but he was a rookie last year. If he comes out and balls out to his potential, that just gives you a nasty 3-headed monster as far as an offensive weapon for Tua, you know? And for Mike McDaniel to have another big body, because Jalen Waddle's not that big, neither is Tyreek Hill. They can both go up and get it. They're not afraid to go up and get it. But there's a difference when you have a guy who's tall, who can be that type of player, a guy you throw the ball up to and be like, yeah, he's definitely getting it, or nobody's getting it. You know what I mean?
Sure. And that probably played into that. But the other thing that probably played into that too was us signing Braxton Berrios.
Correct. But I feel like he's more of a guaranteed special teams guy. Like punt returns, kick returns, that type of where he's nasty.
Who's our receivers coach?
Damn it, what's his dude's name from the Patriots?
I mean, for the Dolphins. Yeah, about Wes Welker.
Wes Welker.
So you got a little white boy like Braxton Berrios. Shout out to the UM, played in the stadium, knows the stadium,
in and out, and he's gonna definitely be a weapon. But
he's going to be used more. I think you're absolutely spot on. He's going to be coming in as that.
Right.
But I think he's going to be utilized in some creative ways with McDaniels for his speed. He's a fast-ass white boy.
Absolutely, man. And you know, for as far as the special teams things go, I just think that makes us at least certified in that, and it helps us change the field of play a lot, right? Where instead of being 60 yards away from the goal line, we're 50 yards, we're 40 yards, we're 50. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna be able to definitely improve the Dolphins that way, and everything else that comes as a bonus is him as a receiver. He's gonna be able to be in a 4 wide receiver set, right? 5 wide receiver set, and be a guy who's in motion, or a guy cutting, you know, through the linebacker, slot receiver type. Just a dude who's very reliable, has very reliable hands. He's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the most explosive, but he knows how to run routes, and he's definitely short-handed. And once he catches the ball, he's very shifty. He's not going to blow you away. He's not going to run by you unless you leave him that space, and he's going to use that angle to get away from you. I just think that he's definitely a plus to this wide receiver room. And I think that he also kind of fits the mold of that Cheetah, of that Jalen Waddle, right? So that if these guys got to take a break, he can sub in, take that spot, and not be that big of a difference as far as running the play or him being able to make the play. So, yeah, it's a good signing. Like I said, man, the Dolphins have made a lot of moves that look potentially beneficial. At the end of the day, they need to win. They need to get into the playoffs with some type of strength and, you know, momentum, not kind of squeak into there. And once they're able to do that, then they'll show that they're real contenders in the AFC, not just the East, the AFC. And let's see, bro. We got a lot to discuss. There's still a lot of moves to be made. There's still a lot of signings to be made for this team. It's going to be interesting to see how they move in the draft. Like I said, that's coming up soon. But the Dolphins are definitely heading in the right direction, man. More so than last year, which is crazy. Because when we started this program, dog, you know, I'm talking about the podcast, like, we were like, yo, are the Panthers, the Dolphins? are the Dolphins going all the way down? Are they going to be the third worst team in the state of Miami? Like, what's the deal here? And ever since then, I feel like every season they've not only improved, things have gotten tragically better for them. And it just feels like they're making leaps instead of steps. They're making leaps. It's kind of crazy to see, though. For me, I don't know about you, though. I know you're a delusional Dolphin fan. You've probably seen this the whole time coming. But
I mean, I've been saying it for years, you know. We're going to win another Super Bowl.
Nah,
we're not just going to hang our hat on that 72 team. We're going to win one, and it's coming soon, man.
I doubt it.
It's coming this year, 2023.
I doubt it, man. I doubt it. But let's see. We definitely got stuff to talk about more in depth when it comes to the Dolphins. OnlyFans. Go subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Let's before we close out, dog.
Wait, you have an OnlyFans? Oh, you're talking about our show.
Our show, OnlyFans. Yeah. Come on, dog. Before we close out, dog, we both were watching the Valspar Open this weekend, which is going to be at Innisbrook, which is going to be where the Miami Golf World Tournament is being held this year, 2023.
We got our golf trip planned at a PGA Tour course. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. But yeah, we're going to go out there and struggle.
Bro.
That shit looked hard because everybody, the pros were struggling. And when I saw that, I was like, huh.
What's worse than getting your teeth kicked in?
I don't know, man.
Like, as far as a metaphor, like, I don't even know. Like, you're getting your shit pushed in? Like,
probably.
Because that's what's going to happen when we play that particular course.
I'm just thinking to myself, would it be bad etiquette if I go out there and just put it all the way up to the green, like, the whole time, just to make sure that I'm going as straight as possible.
You got some water on some holes. You can't do that, dog.
No, that's true too.
Yeah, bro. It look rough out there.
It looks hard, man.
Taylor Moore took it down this weekend. You know, you had.
Well.
I was pulling for two guys on Sunday. You know, Jordan Spieth is in the mix.
Yeah,
and Tommy Fleetwood, and you know those are
Tommy
both guys.
was there at the end. Dog.
Both guys that we want. They both finished tied for third. Adam Schenk solo second, and Taylor
an impressive
Moore.
Round by him.
Yeah, impressive tournament. Weekend from both of these guys, man. Those are weekends that that these guys those guys that aren't the top tier guys strive for, because it's like, all right, the field isn't as you don't have the Rahms,
right?
You don't have the Schefflers, you don't have some of these other guys that are probably gonna, like, I would be interested to see what those guys do on that course, but let's be real, they might tear it up
for sure.
So it's like, leave some to the other guys, and it's nice to see some of those guys get a dub and get some paydays, but that course looks really difficult, bro.
Hard.
That was the main thing the whole weekend in our group chat. People were watching it, and everybody was like, "Yo, are you guys seeing what we're seeing? Like, this is not gonna be fun."
Yeah, man. I already got a game plan, dog. Just by seeing how much these guys struggle is just reaffirming to me like what I gotta keep in mind as I go out there to go play this course, because it definitely looks hard. And if a pro is out there having a tough time dominating that course, and we're talking about these guys still shot at 7 under, 6 under, like. Good. And that I'd be surprised if any of us shot something like that, right?
Taylor Moore won it at 10 under.
You know what I mean? Like, again, which is kind of not great for a golfer, but still way better than any average person who's just playing golf, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to go out there and really find, and granted, we're not even going to be playing the same tees, dog. Like, it's going to be wild to see how we play that course, but it's definitely a tough-looking course, a fun-looking course. Vibes were immaculate out there. The snake pit. Yeah, man.
Get ready for that.
It's going to be nice.
I got some ideas for that stuff, bro. I got a little slogan I got for the weekend.
Interesting.
I'll share it right now.
Do it.
Survive and thrive.
I like it.
That's because that course.
We're gonna have to put that on Miami Golf Rules.
That's going to be the theme of the weekend, bro. Just survive, and if you can survive, you'll thrive.
Absolutely. Truer words have never been spoken, dog. Truer words have never been spoken.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, man. But you know what? It's time to wrap this thing up, dog. So you know what time it is.
Like a to-go bag, baby.
Yes, sir. And if you haven't already, make sure to head on over to any of our social media platforms. Hit that follow, drop a rating if you can. If you have, great. Drop a comment, hit that like button. Let us know what you guys think about the show. And if you haven't already, you got to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell another friend.
To tell one more friend.
To tell another friend about this amazing podcast and what we got going on. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff that we're going to be bringing to you soon, but you won't know unless you're following us on social media, y'all. Until next time, peace.